Hey Christian Post, this is Jeannie Ortega. I'm here with David Zach of Remedy Drive, but you're doing so many other amazing things as well.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get into it all. Thank you so much for sitting with us.
Nice to see you.
Same here. All right, let's start with the music. You guys recently released the North Star.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
The North Star is our second album that we've written about social issues, specifically trafficking. It's named after Frederick Douglass's newspaper. You know, he ran that newspaper,
Yes,
the abolitionist
wow.
Frederick Douglass. The credits look like his newspaper, a beat up piece.
That's so
You know,
cool.
our fans
wait
helped
to
us
open
fund
it
it.
up.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So our fan base came together
How
and helped us
amazing
fund
is it to have people back up a project on real things? Like, you know, I feel like
Yeah.
so often we have just people spending money on things that really don't matter. And then you have a project that's really shining light on things that matter. Has it been harder?
I mean, it's hard to write about this stuff.
It is, yeah.
You know, it's hard, and it's hard to be the bearer of this news.
Of reality.
Yeah, of reality. But then on the other hand, that's what's true. It is reality, and we supposedly are following instructions of the man of sorrows who was acquainted with grief. So to shield ourselves and insulate ourselves from grief and from trauma and from suffering and from slavery and from refugees and from
Yeah.
hunger and thirst, that doesn't line up with
Yeah.
the gospel that I heard from Jesus Christ.
Wow. And you know, and I've seen you speak out on social issues and things that are not popular.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and I know sometimes people have taken, you know, kind of just they get disappointed because there's not enough people in our industries that are speaking out. And I think it's a braver thing to do. What is it for you? Is this something that you feel called to do? You know, despite, because it could give you some backlash sometimes when you're talking about social issues and things like that. What is it that you're just like, no, I'm going to march forward and do this?
Well, specifically our work fighting against slavery.
Yeah.
It's hard to find somebody that's not excited about fighting against slavery.
Yeah.
Right? But the more I'm exposed to slavery, the more I realize that other justice issues intertwine with the issue of slavery.
Like injustice, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm wearing a Love Anyway shirt by Preemptive Love.
Oh, so cool.
They're over in Syria. Syria's being bombed, and then they bring food in. You know, they're putting their lives at risk. In their videos, there's bombs in the background. And I've always been inspired by people like that. And I've always, my whole career making music, I've thought, man, what if I could tell their stories? And then I think, what if in another life I could be that way? And I just realized it doesn't have to be another life. It can be this life.
Wow.
I can fight slavery. I can do undercover work with the Exodus Road. When white supremacists interrupt my brother's church service in Charlottesville, he has 3 black kids. I'm gonna take my daughters down, and we're gonna protest that.
Yeah, I saw that.
With
That's what I
you know,
saw.
so I'm trying to stay in my lane with slavery, but it's hard to stay in the lane because
You feel like they tie in.
racial inequality and the refugee crisis, these things interlink with slavery in a real way.
Wow. And you know, there's a famous quote that says something about the biggest thing for people, like not doing anything is still doing something, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just commend you. I know it's not probably the route that most people will take, fear of whatever. Just even saying something can be scary, but I really commend you for it. Talk to us about just some of these records and some of the things, the issues that you do kind of venture into in the record.
So, Commodity, the album before this album,
Yes, I remember.
kind of was our first exposure to slavery. It was when I joined up with the Exodus Road, and since then I've been on 9 deployments with them, doing undercover work, going into brothels, finding evidence of sex trafficking, spying on mafias and cartels and crime syndicates that are selling our daughters and our sons.
Do you like, what do you guys do? Can you take pictures? Like, how do you bring justice? Because I think it's the scariest thing for us. People were just like, but how can we help or do something that will really change it?
So we use covert gear to find actionable evidence of trafficking, to assist law enforcement, and also to bring it to the attention of law enforcement, and then partner with law enforcement on raids. And the Exodus Road's had 880 rescues so far.
Oh my God.
Hundreds of arrests.
Wow.
and we get to play a small role in that.
Yes.
And you bring up the fact, like, people are like, how can I do anything? And that's how I feel. How can I do anything? When I was first exposed to this, it was with mainly boy soldiers, that kind of slavery. And my daughter watches a documentary with me, and she says, Dad, why doesn't God protect those boys? And I felt this longing to get involved. Just like when I see a child with chlorine in his lungs in Syria and their families being scattered by barrel bombs, I want to get involved, but how do I get involved? Well, I do little things. And you can look at me and say, in the way that I probably would have accused this kid, probably like Peter did, he has 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, right? And you can look at me like, what are you going to accomplish with that? What are you going to accomplish with your band, with your album, with your voice?
I love that.
I don't know. I'm going to accomplish something.
I love
and
that.
The King of the Universe is going to use this small contribution that I have to offer, and he's going to turn it into something significant. And I believe that. And I believe the same with you, and with your camera lens, with our voice, with your platform. We all have this small role to play in justice, in freedom, in compassion, and mercy.
Yeah, I interrupt you. Talk to us about the songs. How do you? I like some of the issues that you actually venture into.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, this is so good. I can. Talk about this.
I think I steered it off track. So there's a song on there called "Sunlight on Her Face."
Sunlight on Her Face.
And I wanted to tell the story of these girls that I've met, because they all have a very similar story, and that story ties into the story. Because I meet her and she's in slavery. She's being sold night after night after night. Wow. She's forced to eat and drink and smoke with customers that are 3 times her age, 3 times her weight. But she still has this gleam of defiance in her eyes.
Wow.
And I see it in Latin America. I see it here in the States. I see it with girls from Africa, girls from Russia, girls from Southeast Asia. That same gleam, and I wonder if that's the same fire in the eyes of the girl that washed the feet of the King of the Universe with her hair that one time. So we hit that with Sunlight on Her Face. There's a song called Sanctuary that Propaganda, the hip-hop artist, raps on.
Oh, I love Propaganda.
And the chorus is, give me shelter, give me sanctuary, city on a hill, why do you stand so still? And it takes the journey of a refugee from Syria going across the Aegean Sea and tells her story, and hopefully shines a light on that, and says, will you light a lamp for me beside the golden door?
Yeah.
Like we're on these storehouses of kerosene. Why do we bury our light under a bushel?
Yeah.
That's my so that we touch on that with that song, and then we try to celebrate from Frederick Douglass to Harriet Tubman to William Wilberforce, Martin Luther King Jr. There's a girl named Amy Carmichael, you might not have heard of.
Yeah,
you know?
I've heard of Amy Carmichael, yes.
She would dye her skin with coffee, go into
Wow.
Hindu temples and rescue 6-year-olds from ritual prostitution.
Wow.
So we try to celebrate that. It's dark, so we try to celebrate the light, celebrate the selflessness and the courage of ordinary people.
And also educate people, because some people don't know, the sacrifice that a lot of these heroes have done. And it's amazing. I know you don't look at it for yourself because you're in it, but just looking from the outside and watching you do what you do is such an encouragement. It's such an encouragement. I wish that this is my prayer, that the fire that you have for this will ignite others in your industry to say, and do the similar things, because like you said, even little things that we do matter.
Yeah.
What are some of the organizations that you partner up with to do it? Like, if somebody wanted to get involved and really how can they partner or learn more about what you're doing?
Well, the Exodus Road is the organization that I go overseas with.
Yes.
And if you text our band's name, Remedy, to 51555, what's the best thing about that is you'll get information on how to donate, how to pitch in, ideas of what other people have done, but you'll also get a text every time a girl is rescued.
Wow.
So you get a text like 4 girls were just rescued in India, or 3 girls were just rescued in Thailand or Cambodia.
What is it again?
51555.
And you text Remedy to 51555.
On our website, remedydrive.com/action, we're going to just tell stories. Because people ask me this, like, what can I do? I'm just going to tell stories of what people did, because I would never imagined, I would never know to say, hey, run a 5K in stiletto high heels. But this girl did that, raised hundreds of dollars, raised all this awareness.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I am not that girl.
I am not that girl either. I can't imagine her feet were bleeding. I think a guy carried her across the finish line.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This girl that was maybe 7 came up to me recently and said, she's like, I like your songs. My family helps too. We hunt wolves and rescue princesses.
Wow.
I just love the way she said that. I don't know if it's through a bake sale or a lemonade stand, the way she understands it. So we all have our capacity of ability. We've recruited operatives at concerts that go overseas, and one of them's living in Southeast Asia for 2 years right now. That we met at a concert. He was trained by the U.S. government, special forces. He broke his back. He was shot out of a helicopter. And now he's just waiting for something to do.
Oh, wow.
And then we linked up. So there's that capacity. There's people that give their social media platforms to be online abolitionists.
Is a big thing, yeah.
It's not small.
In this day and age, no.
People want to reduce us to social justice warriors, and that needs to be accompanied, I agree, by some sort of action. But that's a good starting point.
It is.
Talk about it, research it, find out what's going on.
What would you say you're most shocked about that you've been able to accomplish after venturing into this? I mean, it's been a few years since commodity and since because I remember I worked for another company, and when I first got word that you were doing this, and, it was like at that point it was kind of not even it wasn't at the forefront yet. Like I feel like now more Christian organizations and ministries and movies and things are coming out to spread awareness, but I feel like you guys were at the beginning of it, when it was like getting popular to do. What's been the most shocking thing for you, or just kind of like, wow, I can't believe that, from where we started, this is what it's been now? Yeah.
Well, we didn't plan it. We wrote the lyrics, we wrote the songs, and I met Matt in the middle of all that. Like I didn't plan on doing undercover work, but because of, like you said, maybe we can light a fire. I'm just passing on this flame.
Yeah.
It started a long time before this. It started on the North Star, those explosions on the North Star that slaves found their way to freedom because of the fires on the North Star. The fire on the mountain with Moses, it's the same flame that burns in all our hearts. And I just want to pass that on. And I think that's been the thing that, as a whole, to look at all the different little areas that we've been able to nudge people. In the same way that Martin Luther King nudged me when he said, live with dangerous unselfishness. In the same way that the letters between Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman inspired me. My friend Jeremy Cowart with his camera inspired me. I just want to inspire a little bit. So the fact there's an operative living there right now, the fact that a kid just went to Turkey for a few weeks to work with refugees, because I told him, live with dangerous unselfishness. And every interview he ever read, I said that, and he finally said, here's what I'm doing, David. And he was a homeschooled kid from Minnesota.
Thank God.
And just little things that seem insignificant one at a time, but you pile them up. Me and my wife were talking. We have a house full of stuff like these bracelets that we buy from Agape International Mission, and the elephant I gave you from Rafa House. And we're like, look what we're doing. This is so fun. Like, we get to make all our band's t-shirts and if there's one place in the Christian music industry where I wish people would follow suit, why don't they make their t-shirts by organizations like Agape International? They're made by survivors of trafficking. And I can guarantee that there's no hint of slavery anywhere in the supply chain, because it's from the screen printing to the cutting. That's exciting to me. And it's costly, but it's exciting. And I've never, it's a family thing. My kids are the ones that put the price tags on those elephants that we sell, and all those little things added up. But then there was one time that we helped send over some technology, some cyber forensics gear, that was able to strip data off a cell phone of a gangster to take down a slave ship that was taking refugees from Burma and selling them into detention camps in Thailand to sell their daughters and sons into slavery. And we helped with this little bit of technology that we helped send over. Or a vehicle that the Remedy Drive community helped buy from my friend Sudhir in India. He rescued 4 virgin girls one of the first times he took that vehicle out. And those are 4 girls that never had to go through what a lot of these girls go through, because Sudhir was there.
He was there.
And he says because of the vehicle, they thought we were the rich customer.
Wow.
And he was so happy to tell me about this, so that I could take back and thank everybody that was part of making that happen for him.
Is there hope for this generation to be effective the way you're saying? Is there hope for change to really come? Just when you think about it overall.
I've always sang about hope. Daylight is coming from 10 years ago. Hope's not giving up from 10 years ago. But the hope I have in 2018 is a different kind of hope. It's not a naive, childish hope. It's still childlike. But it's guarded and it's informed.
Yeah.
It's informed by the magnitude, the sheer scale of the trafficking situation. 40 million people enslaved in 2018 is enough to knock the wind out of you.
Jesus.
The sheer scale of the refugee crisis in 2018 is enough to knock the wind out of you.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you got water and food and disease. But that's what I'm here for. And that's what you're here for. We are little Christ. That's what Christian is. We are body, skin and bones, flesh and blood, hands and feet of the kingdom. And so in that I have hope, because Jesus said, hey, I have good news. I've been anointed to proclaim good news to poor people.
Wow.
To proclaim liberty to the prisoners, freedom to the captives, and a restoration of dignity to the oppressed and the downtrodden. And he's not lying. And he can promise that, not because he's here in the flesh, but to answer my daughter's question, why doesn't God protect those boys? Hey, why don't you protect those boys and girls? Why don't you do something about it? You claim you want to, and me. You claim you want to. You have a platform, you have the ability, you have the finances, you have the funds. You have enough to do something, so why don't you do something? And I think that this next generation is going to believe that.
I agree.
And they're going to believe that the good news is not the good news if it's not good news to the poor.
I agree.
And they're going to take action.
I love it. And I thank God for people like you leading the charge. I really do. What's next?
Well, we're going to play these songs.
Yes.
We're going to keep on raising funds for the Exodus Road, for Agape International Mission, for Rafa House, and some of the other organizations we represent.